Welcome to Feature Friday, where we look at the cool functions of our Roof Wizard software. And today we're going to look at the cover fixtures function. That is where we apply fixtures and fittings to the roof, items that are extraneous to the roof but may be required for the purpose of flashing off or simply fitting off the roof correctly and professionally. So we've got a single slope roof already, and the pitching line was along that eave, and so now we're going to place a couple of items on it. So it's under the cover menu, fixtures. I might want to put an access hatch on, so I need an access hatch, and we get the option to cut the hole. Now these options and other options that you will see shortly, they're all part of the definition of the fixture, and the definition of fixtures we'll cover in another Feature Friday. So in this case, would you like to cut a hole? I'll say yes. So I'm going to cut a hole there from that corner, and I'm going to orient it in the x-axis, and bang, it goes in. So if we look at that in isometric view, you'll see that the access hatch symbol has been applied, a hole is cut, and if I look at it from the right hand view, you'll see that it's in line with the roof. The opposite of that is if I was to say install a HVAC unit, and again, do I want to cut the hole? Maybe yes, maybe no. So I'll say yes, and I'll want the HVAC unit to be sitting there, and I'm going to orient that in the x-axis as well. And now the difference here is that if I go to the isometric view, you'll see that it's cut the hole exactly what we wanted, but it's placed it on the ground. Now that's because in this case I said align it with the roof plane. In this case I said don't worry. But if I needed it to be further up, I actually have a function here called group move, and if I can select the item and then middle button snap the origin of it, and I can move it up to that corner there, and it's now aligned with the roof. Not a big deal, but you've got the functions, all the functions you need to do what you need to do. So back to the top view for a minute. Another thing you might want to add is maybe we want to add some solar panels. So I'll grab this bunch of solar panels here. I want the solar panels there. I want them oriented in the x-axis as well. Big difference is that in this case, no hole. Once again, this is a function of how you define the fixture. You have a fixture where you can cut a hole. You can have a fixture where it cuts a hole and aligns it with the plane, or you can have a fixture with no hole, but you can align it with the plane. Something else that you might want to put on a roof, just can't find it. There it is, right on the front page. So, bang, bang, two fall anchors ready to go. Why is that important? Again, they may be things that as a roofing contractor you're obliged to install, and you need to account for them. And when you do account for them, when I go to the reporting, supply, and okay, and I'm going to combine all of my job stages, and I'm going to select a metal panel even though I haven't done it yet, and okay, and continue. Everything that I need for that job relating to those items and all my fascia and gutter has been automatically quantified. You'll see here that I've got an outrageously expensive skip, so you can just change that. I only want one of those for $150 a day, and I don't need 800 of them. I only need one. So again, just highlighting the fact that whatever the software comes up with, you're not stuck with that. You can edit that at this stage. So critical thing with fixtures, everything you need is there. And just by way of teasing you, if I go to set up fixtures, you'll see that here is where you set things up, and it's all done through this dialog box. First of all, you need a symbol that represents your fixture, and you save that away as in the fixtures.dab file. You then give it a product code, you tell it what category it's to be in. You might have a category of fixtures, but in this case I've said I want it to be in the category of roofing, so that it is included in my roofing quote, not my fixtures quote. You have here 3 lengths of flashing required to install this thing. Now this is all made up, you may or may not need that. But what's important, if you have defined accessory items, clips, screws, brackets, sealant, whatever, with that flashing, that all comes across as well as a subset of the flashing, and the flashing is now a subset of my fixture. Think about that for a minute, that's important. Then how do we want the figure displayed? It can be scalable, which that'll prompt for a size, the size I drew it, or a parametric box, so you can make it any size you want, or a parametric cylinder. In this case, I want fixed size. Give it a name, a cost, and a cost to install, and how you want to insert it, a location point or orientation point, or a location point only, or along a line, or whatever. So read the help files. It tells you what to do. This is where you tell it whether you want a hole or not. You can have a hole automatically, or you can get it to ask, like it did. Very courteous. And then whether you want it aligned with the roof, as in pitched, or just vertical, plank it on the ground. And you can also add a reference to a PDF document which describes this material. Once you've done all that, you hit add flashing to add the flashing. You can delete flashing if you don't want it to be there. And if I was changing anything here, I would hit update. If I'm creating a whole new one, I simply hit add. So you can see you have tremendous amount of control over what you do with fixtures. And once you define it, it's there for reuse, and everything you need for the installation of that item, whether it's a pitch pocket or a fall protection, or whether it was a Velux window or a skylight or whatever, it all can be done through the fixtures menu. So read up on the help files. It's all there to be explored, and the power in the software is enormous. Well, I hope you enjoyed that issue of Feature Friday. If you enjoyed the video, we produce a new one every week, and there's always something new to help you get going and get more out of Roof Wizard. So please subscribe and hit the like button. We'll see you next week on Feature Friday.